So, hello everyone and welcome. If I haven't met you yet, again, my name is Steve Will. As the proud father of the bride, I was asked to say a few words. So here we go. First of all, Mary Beth and I are so glad that all of you could join us today to witness and celebrate Katie and Zachariah's wedding. There's so much joy here, isn't there? It's a beautiful thing to share with you all. And thanks to all of you who work so hard behind the scenes. You guys are the best. And that includes my lovely wife, Mary Beth. You're amazing. Also, I know there have been some out there today who have been just watching to see if and when I'll crack and break down and cry. Nah, not right now. I'm just way too nervous. I can't do that. Maybe some other time in private. Now, as many of you know, I have been blessed to be given the title of Girl Dad with 3 special, lovely daughters who all know I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. This job has had many wonderful responsibilities over the years, and some of them are kind of unique. One of my duties as Girl Dad, as I saw it, was to toughen them up, to make them do hard things, tell them the honest truth, and lovingly, but consistently, tease and or embarrass them with an eye-rolling dad joke here, some dry, biting sarcasm there, and then every once in a while I'd lob in a slightly inappropriate comment just to see if they were paying attention. And I did all those things because I love them dearly, and I want them to succeed in life. At least that's what I told myself. I hope I didn't overdo it, Katie, because you were the first. And Katie, I want to publicly confirm today, as your sisters have long suspected, that you are my favorite. Firstborn child. Dad joke. But do you remember what I used to tell you when you were just little? I used to say, Katie, you are one of my favorite people in the whole world. See, I've always been a big fan. You've always been a joy to me. I hope I've never given you any doubt that I love you deeply and I'm proud of who you are. Now, as the rest of you girl dads out there can understand, you watch this sweet little girl grow up and you treasure all the things that make her oh so unique and endearing and beautiful. And as wonderful as she is, you wonder if she'll ever meet a boy someday who can truly see and appreciate and love all those things the way you do. Let's face it, any guy could fall for a beautiful young woman like Katie, right? And by the way, sweetie, you are stunning today, just beautiful. But as her father, you want something deeper and lasting and spiritual. And you pray for that, but you still wonder how and if it could happen. And then Zachariah started coming around, and I said, really, God? No, I'm just kidding, I wouldn't have said that. No, Zach is the kind of guy who's easy to like. As things continue to develop, we got to know him better. We came to recognize 2 fundamental things. First, that Zach loves Jesus, and that Zach loves Katie. But we saw that Zach gets Katie, and he truly appreciates all the things about her that make her special. And as a dad or a mom, what's not to love about that? But Zach, you came into our family, and suddenly things got a lot louder. I mean, it was a shock to the system. What happened to my quiet, peaceful little household? And another thing I noticed when Zach was around, food just vanishes into thin air. My girls are by no means small eaters, but this was Olympic level food consumption. But these differences weren't deal breakers by any means, and eventually I came to appreciate other redeeming qualities about Zach. Anyway, I once said that the perfect match for Katie would be someone like Chip Gaines. You know, Chip and Joanna Gaines from the TV show Fixer Upper. Like Joanna, Katie is this beautiful, quiet, artistic, Jesus-loving girl. And like Chip, Zach is this loud, fun-loving, business-minded, Jesus-loving guy. Just without the construction skills or the cool mullet, right? But like that famous couple, these guys were made for each other and brought together by God's grace. That's what makes this day so exciting. So hopefully by now, Zach, you understand if I gently poke fun at you, or not so gently sometimes, right? It's because I love you too. I'm just trying to toughen you up, just like I would for one of my own kids. So welcome to the family, Zachariah, and God's blessings on you both. Okay, and now before I do dissolve into a blubbering mess, I'm going to have my good friend, Pastor Joe Steck, come and offer a blessing over the meal.
Hey, everybody. As they said, I'm Katie's maid of honor. My name's also Katie, and it's been such a joy to spend the day with all of you. Before I begin, just want to thank all of you for coming tonight. It's just been such a sweet day of celebrating Zach and Katie. Big shout out to everybody who's put in so much work to make today happen. I feel like every detail has been such a sweet reflection of Zach and Katie. And so thank you to everybody who's put in the work today. So for those of you who I don't know, I met Katie. I'm the other Katie. And I lived with the Wills for a few years. And so they really became my second family. And so it's super sweet to be back here with all of my Pennsylvania family this weekend. I've known Katie for about 6 years now, which it feels like it's been a lot longer. But we met our first week at Liberty University. I remember Katie's dorm door was always open that first week. And I remember just feeling immediately so welcome and comfortable and cared for when I was with her. One of my most memorable moments with Katie is when she invited me over for a movie night in her dorm early that first week of college. We had a cereal and movie night and talked about some of our dreams for the future. Can you guess what movie we watched? We were watching Sight and Sound Joseph, of course. And Katie impressed me with her on-point choreography and vocal ability. So see me for a video if you want to see that later. I remember laughing, thinking about friends who were living more of the typical college experience, walking in and seeing us doing that on a Friday night in college. But I just remember in that seemingly silly moment, I knew Katie was so special in the best way. Katie, I'm always encouraged by your pure heart for the Lord, your gentle and kind spirit, your steadiness, steadfastness, and grace. I truly haven't met anyone else so grace-filled. You have a unique ability to make others feel at home when they are with you. Someone special shared an analogy with me that I think about often. She said, if I'm like a glass or a jar, I want to be so full of Jesus that when I'm bumped, it's Jesus that spills out and not me. And Katie, I just think of you when I hear this. It's been such a privilege to walk with you through great moments of joy and also trial, and see firsthand the fruits of the Spirit literally pour out of you. Katie's love for sight and sound is quite unmatched, although I think Zach's working his way up there. I remember talking about our dreams for the future that night in Katie's dorm, and we talked about the kind of man that Katie would end up with. I remember thinking this will for sure happen for her because she's a catch. And we joked after watching Sight and Sound Joseph that night in the least weird way possible that she needs to find herself a Joseph, a man who exemplifies Christ with his character, a man who's diligent, consistent, has a heart of compassion and forgiveness, a man of passionate purpose and unwilling to compromise, and who's devoted to the Lord wholeheartedly. Zach, it's clear that these qualities are true of you, and it's been such a joy to get to know you and see how well you care for Katie. So Katie, I think it's safe to say you found your Joseph. I can't wait to see the kind of kingdom impact that you guys have as a couple. You complement each other in the best way, and I will always be in your corner. So, congrats to the Hershbergers.
Zach, you are the most wonderful brother-in-law, and we can't imagine a better addition to this family. You're so charming, handsome, ambitious, smart, brave, enthusiastic, humble, funny, and Maggie, I cannot read Zach's handwriting. What does that say? Just kidding. But the moment we met Zach, we knew he would be the best target for jokes in this family. And there's never been a time that we went easy on him. He has always gotten the brother treatment. And Zach, we have seriously been saving up our sarcastic jokes and mean jokes for a collective 39 years.
I'm so thankful for the way food never goes to waste at our house now. We always call Dad the garbage disposal, but you are our landfill. That is, unless said food has been much as whispered on by either gluten or dairy. Thank God that cheese exists, or I would go hungry in my own home. We also love the way you light up our home, both figuratively and literally. I always know when you're over because the house glows from every room since you turn on every light to Steve's dismay.
For the first time in my life, I'm not the loudest person in the family, and I will happily pass that on to you. I thought I was loud while watching sports, especially the Eagles, but you are so next level, it's not even close. One of my first interactions with Zach was actually when I came home from college, early on in their relationship. One weekend, and then immediately heard Zach just straight up screaming from the basement at the TV. And it was the first time, but for sure not the last time.
But really, Zach, you do bring lots of joy and laughter to our family, especially when you tell stories about you having a lisp, and you accidentally revert back to your lisp while telling the story. I haven't seen Dad laugh that hard in a long time.
We've never seen Katie so happy and truly herself, and we are very grateful for the way you treat her and take care of her so well.
Katie, even though you're getting married, you'll always still be my sister, and that means I expect Barbie movie marathons together, alongside our own personal box of twirly mac and cheese. And yes, I still expect you to sing and dance along to all of the songs. I have also had the privilege of watching you grow up first, and the way you have handled so many different trials and challenges through the years. The way you handle friendships and pursue your own relationship with God is so passionately is something I have always admired, and I love so much about you. You're one of the sweetest people ever, and I can't imagine walking through life without you.
Katie, you are the best big sister us girls could ask for, and we're so thankful that we've been able to watch you go through this season of life, and we're both so excited to watch you go through the next as well. You live your life in a way full of grace and kindness that has been on full display throughout your relationship with Zach, and I'm sure it will continue as your next role as a wife. But also don't forget that you were sisters first, and your ring was on this hand first. Katie, we love you so much, and Zach, you finally made it. You're in the family. Congrats to both of you. We love you so much, and we wish you the best.
Okay, nice job, girls. And finally, we'll hear from the best man, Micah Hershberger. Yeah, let's hear from Micah. All right, buddy.
Well, good evening, everyone. I just right off the bat wanted to say that in my preparations for tonight, I really couldn't help but think and focus on the encouragement I wanted to give Zachariah and Katie. I really couldn't get John 13, which is a picture of what Christ did in his final moments with his disciples before his glorification, if you will. We'll get to that in a minute, but first, let me just summarize my relationship with Zachariah. So I'm one of Zachariah's 3 older brothers. I am the next in line. And when Zachariah and I first learned about what a wedding is, and specifically what a best man is, we made a pact that we would be each other's best man. I fulfilled that pact 2 years ago in roughly 5 days from today, and Zachariah, you're doing so tonight. So pleasure doing business with you. And I wanted to center this moments together on 3 characteristics. I'll get into why I chose those, but love, strength, and unity. So Zachariah and I, my mom reminded me recently how we were inseparable as children. We loved to play pretend hunting. We loved to play pretend Bob the Builder. All of those were mainly my ideas. My mom has confirmed, and Zachariah followed suit. Now, just like any children, we had a lot of conflict. And there were some moments where my parents had to punish us, and they would send us to separate rooms to cool down. But I loved, and Zach mentioned this in his speech at my wedding, that we would very shortly after break the wall that separated us, open the door, and be playing tractors with each other in minutes after being sent there. And so this was a great picture of a love we had as our brothers because of the forgiveness and quick forgetting of the wrongs we've done. So that was awesome. But some of the strength I have to highlight as brothers is our differences. And I'll just right off the bat say I love yard work. Zachariah does not. I have a memory, the most physically strenuous activity that my dad has assigned us in my head has been a specific rock wall. I helped my dad on Memorial Day when I'm supposed to be with friends, my 8-year-old friends, and I was moving some pretty big heavy rocks with my dad, and I vividly remember looking at Zachariah, find a flat rock, and curling up on a ball and taking a nap. That's not it. Also, I enjoyed playing outside. I have a memory with my favorite cousin, Jordan, and Jordan, Zach, and I were outside, and it started to drizzle a little bit. And so it was Jordan and I's idea to run out into the woods and pretend we were mountain men and play in the mud and cut some trees with some saws. And Zachariah, when the rain started, ran straight into the house and played with Janae. I'm pretty sure they played doll with the house. But aside from that, there's also been some differences that was really helpful in my life. Most assuredly, when I came home from college on my final Christmas break in my undergraduate career, and I had this great idea on a Saturday that I was going to spend the entire day reading a very intriguing Why Nations Fail, a political analysis on why some countries succeed and others fall. I was truly planning to spend at least 8 hours to cover a lot of material. However, Zach, in his different way of spending time, is he had a full calendar of one social event after another and after another. Now, our differences collided when he said, Micah, you need to come with me. We need to spend time together. I want you to meet some friends. And so finally I conceded. I said, pick one social event and I'll come with you. Well, what do you know? He for some reason showed me a picture of the host. Thought that was kind of strange. Thought you're trying to date this girl. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But the lady that answered the door, I thought the first in my head was, wow, she's more pretty than on Instagram. And then eventually I thought, wow, she's pretty cool host. And 2.5 years later, I got the chance to marry her. And so it was only because of Zachariah's begging me to pull away from what I loved that I got a chance to find someone else. So that difference was truly a strength in our relationship. And finally, I mentioned I wanted to talk about unity. So Zechariah has done a blessing for the Hershberger family and being able to bring another sister into the fold. And so Katie, we're excited for you. When I think about our relationship so far, I can't help but think about a family vacation in Florida. Lisa and I, it was our last night with our parents. We were flying out early the next morning. Zechariah and Katie Grace, who flew in that night. It was a late night. We were supposed to be a quick goodbye, hello, goodbye, good night. However, we ended up staying up a little extra late just laughing about how, Katie, your personality is like mine, and Zechariah, your personality is like my wife's. Truly fulfilled from my parents' prophecy. During Zechariah and I's breakup, the most conflict-heavy time in our life, early college, late high school, my parents prophesied that I would find a wife like Zechariah, Zechariah would find a wife like me. Zach was quick to be like, yeah, Micah, you need a wife like me. No way I'm finding someone like Micah. So that night in Florida, I felt like as a four of us, we could really bond together over our differences. So that's why I mentioned that. And just to go into why I chose love, strength, and unity is because of what I mentioned in John chapter 13. So from 13 to 17, it's what we have of Jesus' final moments with his disciples here on this earth. And in these moments, Jesus gave a command of love, he taught it, and then he also mentioned that as he would go, their situation would change because he'd be leaving, but it would be good because he would provide a helper behind, which would be their strength. And then he also finally mentioned to the Father in the final chapter that he prayed strenuously for unity for us here while he left. Now, in these moments, this is a powerful entire passage for everyone's daily life. But I really just couldn't stop thinking how Jesus began this final discourse with a true example of what love looks like. And that is when he lowered himself, the Lord of all, who everyone will worship at one day, lowered himself to literally wash people's filthy feet. And so Zechariah and Katie Grace, I pull from that passage that as you follow this command of love, and as you rely on the strength that our Father and through the Spirit and our Lord give you, and then finally, as you celebrate the unity that our God values in marriage, I ask you to follow Christ's example of humility, whom after washing the feet mentioned, for I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you. And to the rest of us, I just mentioned to take this passage of encouragement as well for us in whatever stage we are, and also to encourage my brother and new sister in their life ahead of them. Thank you very much.